question from Jasim Chowdhury from USA, Houston, Texas. Has a question regarding Nawafil prayers and seeking knowledge, reviewing knowledge. Is it better to seek/review knowledge than to pray Nawafil prayers, such as the following situations? If an alim comes to your local vicinity, mosque, store, etc., is it better to delay or skip sunnah prayers in order to listen to his speech, such as skipping or delaying the sunnah prayers in order to listen to his speech properly from the beginning, or in order to reserve a spot that is close to the alim? Is it better to review/seek knowledge than to pray tahajjud? Should a student of knowledge have a balance of both, or should he opt for seeking/reviewing knowledge more while maintaining the minimal Nawafil prayer/acts? I apologize if you have answered these questions.
Tight. There's no apology needed. Walillah alhamd. We don't have a problem with repeating the answers. We've learned from our ulama, our mashayikh, our teachers, that they will answer questions over and over again. Sheikh bin Baz, rahimahullah ta'ala, who's one of my favorite personalities of the modern scholars, and someone that I've benefited from tremendously and had a large impact on my life. Every day I listen to his fatwa. I read his fatwa every single day. Every day. And alhamdulillah, if you read his Majmu' fatwa, you'll find sections full of the same answers over and over and over and over again. If you listen to Nurun ala Darb, the radio program, he's asked the same question over and over again. Don't take it from me. Listen to it yourself. How many times he talks about the Prophet's birthday, Mawlid? How many times he talks about Al-Halaf bit-Talaq? How many times he speaks on these things over and over again? Love us. That's not a problem. When we say we've answered this question already, the reason why we say that is, number one, lack of time. Lack of what? Lack of time. Everyone no one misunderstands that we get aggravated or upset at people asking the questions, but it's lack of time, and it's just me. If we don't have other brothers or sisters that come and help out to answer the questions, which I don't have a problem with, well, alhamdulillah, that's different. But people have questions. They're demanding, they're hungry from the UK. From how many?
Not everybody's an ambassador of Queens.
You understand what I'm saying to you? Is that preservation of time. Or sometimes it may be a situation in which we've given detail and an answer or video in which is more beneficial for you to get the necessary details. Everybody understand this? This is the only reason why. All right? So, with regards to what you mentioned in a question about should a student of knowledge have balance, even though it wasn't the first thing you mentioned, that's the key, is balance. Make the nawafil, seek ilm, have hirs upon knowledge, be diligent, be hungry, be aggressive in seeking knowledge. You have to be aggressive. You can't be passive. You can't sit back and twiddle your thumbs and play with your thumbs, think that you're going to become an alim. It doesn't work like that. And it comes with great sacrifice. All right? So there's nothing wrong with what you mentioned, balance. However, you mentioned a scenario about an alim coming to your town, or even a da'i or student of knowledge, and you don't have time to do both. Then you give precedence to ilm. That's what the Salaf al-Salih meant when they said Talab al-ilm is better than staying in prayer at night. As Ibn Abbas said to one of his disciples once, he says, مَا الَّذِي قُمْتَ إِلَيْهِ بِأَفْضَلَ مِمَّا قُمْتَ عَنْهُ. He says, you stood up to pray is no more virtuous than what you were sitting down doing. In other words, فِي حَالَ التَّزَاحُمْ, when there's no time. Or in a situation which a person is inclined and he becomes very strong in ilm, naturally, and that becomes his ibadah. But it doesn't mean that you don't never pray tarawih, you don't ever make witr, you don't ever make the sunnah prayers. It does not mean that, because that's the purpose of you learning, is to become more righteous, more pious. And when you learn, when you read, you're going to read things about nawafil, about the virtue of getting closer to Allah through supererogatory acts. So that's the thamara of ilm. That's the thamara of ilm. Ilm is considered the foundation, and the fruit, the benefit is virtuous ibadah. So there's no contradiction. Number one, have balance. Number two, if you're between a rock and a hard place and you have to choose, no doubt, take the ilm. Everybody clear on this? So there has to be a balance. However, I'll say this, I'll conclude my answer by saying what? You as a student of knowledge, you have to be more inclined towards knowledge and scholastics than other things. All right? Let's say, for example, when it comes to money, fundraising, or just being financially, savvy, Okay, or right, having the awareness of funds and money and how to manage things like that. That's fine for you to know. That's fine for you to have a little involvement in, but that can't be the larger percentage of you. No, you have to be 80% bookworm, 75% scholar, 25% athlete. Everybody understand this? 10% business minded. The majority of you has to be books, 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 books. You have to be a nerd of books, no doubt about that. And if you're not going to really go far in your ilm, as we see, people who never go far initially, or those who do go far, but then they come back to America or the UK, or they get involved in this and they become this and they become this foundation and this yani organization, and they administer that and they lose their edge in the ilm. They lose it, and they start becoming responsible for money, responsible for this place and for that organization. Somebody has to do it. Doesn't mean it have to be you. Your job, your place is supposed to be the library. If you have to have certain jobs on the side, everybody has something to do, some responsibility. But the asl is that you're what? You stay as a nerd of ilm. That's the asl. That has to be the higher percentage. I like little sports. I like to read about history. I like to travel. No doubt. But all those things must orbit around what? Ilm. So when it comes to making ibadah, making extra prayers, fasting, traveling, hajj, umrah, all of those things are beautiful. And they are virtuous acts. But you have to find a way of incorporating them in knowledge. Taking your book with you. I used to make tawaf. Wallah al-azim. Many times, it was before iPad, I would take a thick book with me. Literally. I would carry the book the whole time. Pray, find a place to put it, carry it with me. And I would read and I would make tawaf. Reading the book, making sa'i. And then when the iPads came, take a small iPad and read it while you're making sa'i. Why not? Why can't you benefit while you're doing these things? Why not? So you incorporate the ibadah with the ilm. You go out to eat with the brothers, you take a book with you, you read it at the table. You laugh, you joke, the permissible laughing and joking. You entertain your guests, you be a good host, a good guest, but at the same time it goes back to what? Ilm. We go to play, we work out, we go to the gym only for a little bit of time. Then it goes back to the what? Go back to the real gym. The real soccer. This is Sahih Bukhari and the Tirmidhi and those books. So that's my advice to this brother or sister or anybody as a student of knowledge, is that your main focus, your main focal point has to be, must be, should be knowledge. Period. Everything else is what? Secondary. Everything else is relative. And everything else is limited. Please pay attention to these words of advice, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Secondary, relative, and limited. If you want to go far. If you want to be mediocre, that's fine. You can just work 8 hours here and 10 hours there. Tafadhal. Read on the weekends. That's fine. But if you want to be serious, if you want to be a disciple, if you want to be someone that's dedicated with knowledge, that's obsessed with ilm, and people benefit from you, and you make a change in yourself, in your family, your community, then you have to devote yourself to it. It's just that what? It's just that simple. Last but not least, I'm going to give you a little story. It was a brother right here in Queens. Alhamdulillah, he just recently reverted to Islam a couple months ago. So we were talking, getting to know the brother. We were sitting in the park. So he, for some reason, somehow boxing came up. We started talking about boxing. Alhamdulillah, he's a good sized brother. He says, I used to box. I said, yeah. He said, I used to be, basically cruiserweight, mini heavyweight type weight class. He said, I was good. I used to do it. I said, okay. I said, what made you stop? Why didn't you pursue your career in boxing? You have natural size, good talent. You say you were good. He said, when you get up in my weight class, he said, those guys hit really hard. He said, they're not like, he says, those punches hurt. And he said, if you're not studying all day boxing and jumping rope and running the roads, if you're not dedicating yourself to it, he says you're going to get hurt. And you can't excel, you cannot go far unless you live that lifestyle in which you dedicate on a plate. But the steak and the potatoes has to be boxing, conditioning, working out, fitness, learning, footwork. This is what he said. He says, that's why I quit. He says, I had the talent to go far. He says, but those punches, they hurt. And he said, I knew that I wasn't willing to give myself to it like that. I'm not going to put myself in that situation to be punched drunk and be beat up. And then he went on to tell us a story of a famous championship boxer. I won't mention his name right now. He says that he took ballerina classes. Can you imagine this? A heavyweight, big guy. He used to take ballerina classes to show you the extent of what? Dedication. And the extent of being obsessed with one's chosen craft. If I'm going to be a boxer, I have God-given talent. I've acquired the skill. I've sacrificed. I've suffered. I've taken debt. I've dropped out of school. Whatever. Just to live a life as a boxer. I have an opportunity to go far. I have an opportunity to make money. I have an opportunity to get fame and this and this and that. So all these things in boxing world, then I might as well do what? Push it to the limit. You might as well take it to the next level. That edge on the opponent. And he says, I took ballerina classes, not because I'm gay, not because I like dancing, not because I want to have twinkle toes. He says, but because I want to have an edge on my opponent in the ring. And if I tell you this guy's name, he's a famous heavyweight champion, not Mike Tyson, somebody else. Everybody understand the concept of dedication. So if you want to be a mediocre boxer or amateur boxer, that's fine. You can box on the weekend. And during the week, you work at Walmart or UPS. That's. But if you want to take it to a serious level, your boxing has to be the way that you eat. You make money through boxing. That's it. That's your job. That's your occupation. That's your hobby. That's your life. That's my advice. And this is one of the things that we've seen from the different brothers in Medina. They come to Medina and they're just weak. They don't have no passion for knowledge. And the many brothers, they come and they ask the question, the first question they ask when they come to Medina. How am I going to make money? What am I going to do when I graduate? My parents want me to be an engineer. They want me to be a doctor. How are you going to make money? If you seek in just to make money, if you're in Medina for a profession, go home. Wallah, go back to Houston, Texas. It's no good. You shouldn't be there. The money will come. Status will come. Occupation is going to come. That's written for you. You have to be in Medina to seek ilm for what? Because you love it. Because it's mandatory. Because the people need it and they're dying without knowledge. And no matter how many wonderful centers you build and masjids that you erect and throw up, if it's not based off of solid, hardcore knowledge, fiqh fi deen, it's of no point. So that's my advice to all the brothers and sisters who are listening, all the Hadith disciples, is if you love knowledge, dedicate yourself to it. And if you're not willing to give it your all, then you're what? You're wasting your time. Wallahu a'lam wa billahi tawfiq. Sallallahu sallam wa barak ala abdi wa rasulih Nabi Muhammad. Jazakumullah khairan, brothers and sisters, for your participation. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to perhaps get some of my sins forgiven and perhaps get some hasanat. Wallahu a'lam.